Hey everybody, welcome to the Ronline Report. Today's guest, wow, this is a surprise for the 212 at the Chicago Pro guy. I really hadn't been paying much attention to until I just started seeing some more recent pictures. This is Austin Karr from Las Vegas, Nevada, joined by his coach, Justin Miller. Good morning, guys.
Morning, Ron.
Morning, Ron.
Thanks for having me.
We're recording this on a Tuesday morning, and you guys are already there for the Friday judging and finals. Smart move, smart move. Austin, I want to start with you because I barely knew anything about you. I just started seeing pictures. I go, I know this guy from somewhere. And then I remembered you were at the Tampa Pro last year. You got 4th place. And I was like, this guy's really good. Why don't I know a damn thing about him? Of course, slipped my mind, as a lot of things do. And then, Justin sent me a couple pictures. He's pretty psyched because this is supposed to be, Keon Pearson's supposed to walk across stage, pick up his trophy, wave to everybody and say, thanks, everybody. But it's starting to look like he's got some real good competition, especially in the form of you. Now, I did not know. I knew your dad, Steve Karr. I didn't even know he had passed. I'm sorry to hear that. I knew him not fairly well, but he judged a lot of shows in Southern California, and I was working for the ESPN American Muscle, so I was at every single show in the press pit. So I got to know him a little bit. I competed in his one of his shows, the NPC Las Vegas Naturally, 1995. So I knew him a little bit. So I wanted to know, did you grow up in the with your dad as a promoter, as an NPC chairman, as a judge? Did you basically grow up in the sport of bodybuilding?
Well, I was a product of born bodybuilding family, with him being a national bodybuilder. So I was around him and the sport since I was a kid. But as far as growing up wise, I was at all the shows, like you said, doing all the stuff you saw. I got to be around all these guys like Craig Titus, you name it, Charles Glass, guys back in the day, Mike Mazzarato. So I was around the sport, and physically, I saw it and I knew about it. I really wasn't into it, Ron, to be honest. It was more of a normal, I would say, kid that just wanted to go to school and, do study and basically just kind of get in trouble a little bit. Really wasn't to the sports and the bodybuilding. But that was a very deep passion that grew inside me recently.
Recently, wow. So were you into other sports as a young guy or no?
Yeah, I was always physically and athletically built. You see my legs. I've always had monstrous legs, even when I was a kid. I mean, my dad used to throw me around and said, dude, you're going to be a bodybuilder. I'm telling you, your legs are huge.
Yeah.
So I was like, in sports, like with college and football, I was running a 4.4, 4.5, 5.8, 5. I was pretty thick. I was a thick kid, but I just didn't have the detail, as a bodybuilder. But it was all there. The shape was there. I mean, I could walk around campus and people said, are you a bodybuilder or do you compete? And I never knew about bodybuilding. I was watching, Gustavo Bedell and all these guys on the Olympia stage. It was something that, it was like kind of forced. Like everybody's like, man, you're a bodybuilder. You got to be a bodybuilder. So it was like deep down inside, I was like, you know what? I could do this. It's meant to be.
Yeah. So you ended up going into law enforcement. Was that something you did right out of college?
Yeah, I got back to Vegas. I went to school at University of Hawaii at Manoa. I did 2 years there and played under June Jones. And I got back to Vegas and I was like, I don't know what I want to do. So I was a security guard at the Palms.
Hold on, I have to stop. I got to go back 1 second. You played college football. How tall are you?
I mean,
he's 5'8", Ron.
Okay, I mean that's 5'8" football, college football. You must have been very, very fast and very agile to be able to do that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Explosive and very good. Just that wit on the field. Where you have that grit, that natural grit. So after college, I got back to Vegas. And I didn't want to be in actually law enforcement, to be honest. I really didn't find that to be like, I wasn't an enforceable, aggressive kind of person, and I'm not a confrontational person with people. So my dad really had a big impact on me doing what I wanted to do in life. And it's one of those things where it was like, all right, let me try it out. It's something that sounded intriguing. And then once I became a cop, I was like, man, there's athletic cops and there's cops that were football players and bodybuilders and stuff. And, I could talk to people and get along with people real well. So it actually fit really well when I did it. It was an easy transition.
The greatest bodybuilder in the world for 8 years, Ronnie Coleman, was a full-time police officer. So,
that kind of influenced my decision. Because I'm like, you know what? This guy can compete on the Olympia stage and go to work the next following weekend. I'm like, and look at him. I'm like, nobody's gonna mess with him. So it goes hand in hand, training and then going to the gym and then being a cop. It felt good.
Yeah. So, how long did you do that for?
From 2006 to 2017, so about 11 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, how did you transition away from that and into what you're doing now?
So 2017 is when my dad actually committed suicide. Beginning of the year, and that was January 4th. And after that, I had a lot of stuff going on with mentally issues, and I didn't want to go back on the streets because being a cop, you got to be in the game. You can't be off one sound decision because that's your life. So I knew mentally I wasn't physically and mentally prepared to go back, and I wasn't into it anymore, Ron. To be honest, I wanted to be a bodybuilder. I really did. I was like, every day at work, I just thought about bodybuilding. I wanted to be on a stage, and I just think those two things kind of clashed. To be a full-time bodybuilder and to be a cop, it kind of clashes in a way. And I wanted to really put the training and all that stuff first. And I was able to inherit my dad's NPC show in Las Vegas, which kind of helped me out financially. Yeah. So it gave me an outlet to do what I really wanted to do. So I went full speed and, retired officially from the force.
So you went right into contest promotion?
Yeah, because when he passed away, I inherited his show. So it was a lot of work. I mean, I had no clue. I knew the people around it, like Tamer and John Lindsay. They've always helped and talked to me, but they really helped me out getting started and knowing how to promote the show and stuff. And I think it all comes down to personality and your relationships with people. And I can get along with a lot of people. So it was kind of easier for me.
Yeah, but I mean, I know some promoters, and I watched them at the shows, and it's like the amount of things they're juggling, the amount of things you have to be considerate of to put a contest on. I don't think many people. I don't even really comprehend it all. I don't know all the stuff you guys have to get ready for a show, but the venue, the staff, there's a million details. Did you have a staff? Did you have people helping you with all that?
Yeah, my wife really gets involved, but I think the biggest thing, a challenge for me, was social media. I had to promote online. I had to do a lot of people tag you and you got to repost and do a lot of that stuff. And then it was so much, Ron, like you have no clue. Learning how to get the venue, how to get a stage put together, and then dealing with the competitors. It's a lot of work. And then luckily I have a good expediter staff. So they showed me how to run the show from left to right. So each class was on time, and I had J.M. Mannion help me out with a lot of stuff because he's been in the game for years. So he was a big help for me too.
So which shows do you promote?
Right now, currently, I just have that one show. It's called the Steve Karr Las Vegas Classic. It was the Las Vegas Classic, but I renamed it after his death. And it was already a huge show, Ron. I mean, we started when we first put out Classic Physique that one year. We had 330 competitors for a local show.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
Yeah. 30 years since 1990. So this thing, if you live in Vegas or if you're in the West Coast area, the Las Vegas Classic. It's like the title of the West in the Las Vegas area. So it's a big prestigious show for us. So it was like kind of like, Ron, like inheriting a big business. You just kind of got to learn how to do it, but it's already going to be successful.
Right. But wow, it's a huge undertaking. But I'm curious, were you training like a bodybuilder this whole time? Because you were into, I don't know how what your training was like earlier for sports. At what point did you start training like a pure bodybuilder in your life?
I started training in 2006, real hardcore, when I started watching the Ronnie Coleman videos, and I was a strong kid. I mean, naturally, squatting 500-600 pounds, deadlifting 700 pounds in college, playing football. So I had the mindset of a bodybuilder lifting wise. I just didn't know how to get ripped up, and shred. But I actually in college I didn't have a lot of money, so I remember being on a diet with just tuna and salad, and I got shredded like beyond. People were like, "Wow!"
Yeah.
So I was like, I could get big and I can get shredded real quick. So I was like, there's something there.
Right.
So,
So when did you didn't start competing until a couple years ago, which is
yeah.
crazy to look at you now, So when was what was the process of finally deciding all these people said you look like a bodybuilder, you should compete. When did you finally say, all right, I'm going to do this?
17 well, actually before he had died, we started competing, me and my dad, and we did a muscle contest, the Grand Titans with Tamer in 2016, and I took the overall, and then we were preparing for USA's in 17, and then he had passed away, and I said, you know what, I'm going to do this for my dad. I really want to pursue this. And then 17, I did USA's, and I really just wanted to. I was mentally there, so I just did classic physique just to see how it was. I thought it was a cool class, and I think I got fifth out of like 36 guys.
Wow.
So, and then after that, I said, all right, screw this. I'm going back to bodybuilding, and I won my pro card the next year.
Yeah, I mean, what's classic was it? Did you have to lose a bunch of muscle to get down to classic weight? No.
Yeah, my height, I was 180. I think I had to be 182.
Yeah.
On stage, and that was miserable.
Mm.
And I remember doing the show. Everybody backstage said, "Your legs are just ridiculous in those classic physique shorts. It's like, what are you doing? Why aren't you in bodybuilding?"
Was I at that show? I think I remember you at that show. I think I remember posting pictures. I didn't know who the hell you were, but I remember taking a picture of one guy. I said, and I made it was like a snide remark kind of post on Instagram for all you men's physique guys who want to jump into classic thinking you don't need legs. Look at this guy. It had to be you because I'm looking at those legs now, and that was you. That was 2017 USA.
17.
Yeah, when Lunsford won, that was you. I remember. I was like, look at the freaking legs on this guy in classic. This is ridiculous. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember seeing that backstage, and everybody said, "There's a floating picture on I think on MD about it."
That was me. Yeah, like I said, I had no idea who you were, but I said, Jesus, these legs on this guy are freaking like plaits. It's ridiculous. So you come back the next year, the North American as a light heavyweight. Wow, and you don't like to say your age. You look like you're about 12, so that's fine. But you won the Masters overall. You won wow. So you did open light heavyweight and won that, correct?
Yes.
And you won the Masters, your weight class in the overall, right?
Yeah, and then I lost to Ron Gordon in the overall. The open. Yeah,
we know Ryan. He's a big dude. So yeah, no shame there. Especially considering you just started. This is nuts that you just started competing 3 years ago was your first show, and look at you now. And so the next year, you jump into Tampa Pro. Is that and you got fourth place. I mean, out of 25 guys.
Yeah. It was a big.
Yeah. Is that the only pro show you've done so far?
You did one.
I did.
Show,
so right after North Americans, I made an appearance at the Legion Pro with Chris Menace's show.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't ready. I was depleted for that show. I was not I don't think my physique looked anything presentable. I shouldn't even have done it, but I got top 6 out of 14 or 15 guys. But it was a good learning experience because I knew I should wait. Let's wait a little bit. Yeah. So that was my first official show, and then Tampa Pro 1 year later.
And that's the last time you've been on stage?
Yeah, last year in August. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm sure I was wondering like I said, I know no idea I saw you up there and I saw the name. I'm like, I have no idea where this guy came from or anything, but man, he's good. And then you just disappeared again, basically. So tell me how you met this guy sitting here, because Justin, for those of you who don't know Justin, man, Justin's worked with some of the very best already. He worked with George Peterson from George's first classic show all the way up until now, where he's a 212 champion heading into Olympia. Worked with Steve Laureus for several of his major shows, Amit Roy, Justin, many other guys. But Justin, tell me how you found out about this guy, how you started working together.
Austin's an interesting story, and it's unfolding like, as we speak, as we get in here, Amit and I were just looking at him, and the potential on him is really crazy, Ron. You know, I know potential when I see it. You know, he's going to be really good. He's going to be a star in the sport. I met Austin actually when he turned pro. I remember the exact moment as I was sitting there with George. Me and George were there in town, you know, in Pittsburgh. And we were sitting there, and, you know, we were just sitting there. I think he got a text message. George was, you know, on his phone. And I saw him walk out, and I was like, I elbowed. I was like, George, look at this guy's legs, you know. He was like, holy shit, you know. And we talked a little backstage, and you know, nice guy, and we became friendly. We've, you know, kept in touch. And then recently, you know, we just been talking more and more, and it was kind of an organic fit. Whereas, you know, George is my only 212 guy at the moment, you know. And I talked to George about it. I said, look, I'm thinking that, you know, taking this guy on. What do you think? And George is, you know, George is cool. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
And, you know, so we were actually going to do a later show. He was going to do something, you know, for the next season, for 2021. And he was just getting in shape so fast that we were like, let's just do it. You know, let's just jump in and qualify and see what you can do. Because the truth is, Ron, that I don't think that Austin's going to hang out around 212 very.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the off season weight before this prep started?
What was that?
I'd say a lean 245. You know, nice. That
you know, because he's big. He's a tall 212 guy. You know, he's 5'8", 5'8.5", you know, whatever. But he was, you know, he has the structure. You know, seeing him more now, look, posing and all that stuff in person, and looking at him, you know, in this type of setting as we're getting ready for a contest, you know, he's better than I even thought that he would be for this contest. Looking at him, like he's good now, but the structure, he's going to be not only good here and, you know, in 212 while he's here, but he's going to be a very good open bodybuilder, like top level open bodybuilder. He has a structure for it. The legs are crazy, and he's wide. He has a good shape. I mean, he's going to really shock people in a couple days.
You know, I used that front double bicep shot that you sent me. I used that for the graphic for this because there's a reason that they call that pose first, because you can tell almost everything you need to know about a guy's physique potentially. You can see the structure, you can see the muscle bellies in that one pose, and so it's just such a complete physique. It really is. You can't really pick it apart in that shot. And I could see if it fills out even more, it's going to be more deadlier, I should say, more deadlier. But yeah. So
like
yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, but so we just, you know, became friends, and the thing evolved organically, and you know, I feel like the potential on Austin is you know, very high. So you're going to see something this weekend that's special, but the best of Austin, I think, is going to be down the road, because his mind too is already, you know, it's been in the open. You know, that's where his head's at. That's where he wants to go. You know, he doesn't want to out around 212. And to be honest, with his type of structure, he would be a super deadly open bodybuilder somewhere around 225, 230 pounds. He would be very dangerous, you know, and that's, you know, I think where his head's at, that's where he wants to go with it. But you know, the thing is, it's like, you're here now, you're at the very top of the weight class. Why not see what you can do now as a 212 while you're here? But I don't think he'll be here much past 2020.
Well, it's interesting because, you know, going back to using George as a reference, George could have gone 212 a couple of years ago easily. But let's say Austin pulls a crazy upset, and I've seen stranger things happen in this sport. Let's say Austin beats the heavy favorite, Keon, Jason Lowe, these other guys, wins this, goes to the Olympia. Let's say he makes top 5 or 6 at the 212 Olympia this year. If you're doing that well as a 212, wouldn't you want to hang around just a little bit longer?
Yeah, my headset or my mind frame on that was, yeah, I think that's a good feeling to be in the top 5 at the Olympia if we, you know, once we get there. And, you know, why would you want to jump in with the big fish if you're just, you know, you're already in the pond and you're a big fish now? Why would you want to jump in with the sharks?
Yeah.
But I don't know, Ron. For me, it's like I'm not getting any younger. You know, my body wants to grow. You know, let's just see where we can go with it. And I said to my wife, if I can get to the open healthy and do everything right, and we're growing at a good rate, then why not? You know, but to suck down back to 212, it for me, I just know mentally at my height and my frame, like 212 is an awesome division. It's a great class, but I feel like it's not in my heart. You know,
Yeah.
you got to
Well,
go.
And if
You
you
know-
want to be the best, you know, if you want to be the biggest fish in the ocean, why hang out in the lake? You know what I mean? Like, it's funny because I use that analogy because Amit and I were just talking about that yesterday. We were just having a conversation, and he actually used that. We were talking about something else. He's like, look, if you know, why stay in the lake if you want to be the best in the ocean, go into the ocean. And we were just told, it was actually to something outside of a bodybuilding reference, but I think that really applies here with Austin because, you know, like I said, I really think, let's see what happens. You never know if the contest has to happen and take place and all that. But,
Yeah.
you know, the favorite might be somebody else here. You know, Keon's an amazing competitor, but I think that Austin is really going to surprise people, not only here, but moving forward. And I think that you could see, and it's funny because I just came into the room and told Austin, because he was just posing for Amit and Amit and I both think that he could be a top open bodybuilder, like, you know, top 5 Mr. Olympia in a short time period in the open.
Well, listen to this, Steve Bleckman. You know, Steve's always on the hunt for new talent. Always, he likes to spot people with great potential. He sent me a picture. He sent me this. I think it's just a screenshot of of your Instagram page yesterday. He said, "Check out this guy. Very complete physique." I said, "Yeah, Steve. I've been Justin Miller's his coach. Justin, we're actually doing an interview later tonight. We're going to do it last night." So he doesn't do that very often. I'd say maybe once every month or every couple months.
Who said that, Ron? We didn't
Steve
hear
Bleckman, the owner of the MD, and he's got a great eye for talent. Always has. So I just want to address one thing. You said, you know, you're not getting any younger, but if you look at like your training age, your competitive age, you're really just, you haven't beat up your body yet. Guys who are 37 who have done 50 shows and gone through 50 preps, their body's been through the mill, and you know, torn pecs and this and that, walking with like arthritis. You seem like, you know, a very, very youthful 37. I mean, health wise, injuries. I mean, are you fully intact like that? Never had any major injuries?
No, I had an injury as a cop. I broke my arm, but that was 12 years ago. Nothing like crazy. But I'm telling you, Ron, like, I feel like I just started competing today, like this year. Like my body is so fresh, and the preps are just, you know, they're fun. They're fun for me, to be honest. I don't feel like I've been doing this for so long where I'm just tired and trying to get a show out of the way, but qualified for the Olympia. Like, I like it. I love it. It's fun.
You know, and I'm going to throw something else out there also at you, Ron. And because it's funny because it was a conversation I was just having 20 minutes ago with Amit in the other room. Part of what drew me into Austin is this story, you know, and when I look at a competitor, I feel like I've always done this. I don't look at just how they look. You know, I look at who they are, their thinking, their mindset, their whole, you know, thing. Just what's there physically at the moment.
Yeah.
And I can relate to him in the sense that when I got into bodybuilding, my first show I did basically to get over the loss of my mother. You know, and died 7 months before my first show, and that drove me like crazy because honestly, it was all I had left, and it enabled me to succeed right away at first show because it was a strong purpose. And talking to Austin and getting to know Austin, like, you know, the motivation from him comes from what has happened recently with his dad. You know, and it's a driving force that's stronger than a lot of other bodybuilders might have, you know.
Right.
So I really feel like, being that he's kind of a novice, he's only done 5 shows. And in hanging out with him, interacting with him, he's a novice. You know, like, he can really learn and get a lot better. He's been around the sport and watched it for years, but he hasn't been competing. And in looking at the totality of who Austin is, I really think that, a bodybuilding star is about to emerge. It's going to happen this weekend, but you're going to see over the next couple of years a guy who's going to be a future bodybuilding star. I see it. I see it in him.
Austin, let me ask you this, because 2020, a lot of people had plans for shows that,
Right.
everyone's plans got messed up this year. Was your plan all along to do this show, which would have been in July originally? What were your plans when this crazy year started?
Well, originally, I did the Tampa Pro last year in 2019 August, and I wasn't happy because I got fourth. And I knew I could have been a lot. I could have been in the top 2 contention in that show. So I said, instead of doing an off season, I want to do another 212. I want to get a top placing. So I prepared for New Zealand Pro in March, I believe it was, in this 2020. And we found out 5 weeks out that the show got canceled. So, and then the COVID hit in March, and then we kind of were like, I don't know, let's shoot for like Indy Pro in May. And then I think New York Pro is at the end of May. So I said, well, I'll do Indy Pro, and then wait a week, fly out to New York and do New York Pro, because those are 2 really good shows. And they both got canceled. So it was like, after the New York Pro got canceled, I think Chicago Pro was in July 4th or 3rd or 4th. So I said, okay, let's do Chicago Pro. And then we got an email saying Chicago Pro got postponed till later in the year. We don't know what date. So at that point, I was like, you know what? Let's just shut it down for a little bit. So I kind of, got off a lot of stuff, and I just took a break. And then I think Tampa Pro popped up, and I was like, I'm just not ready yet. I'm not hard enough. Like, I could do it, but I'm not going to be, at my best. And plus, George was doing it. I just knew I wasn't going to be bringing it. So I think once Tampa Pro was going, I was like, you know what? These shows are going to start going, Wings of Strength. And I knew, Tim Gardner is a great promoter, and Jake Wood, who promotes the Wings of Strength, that they were going to have the Chicago Pro. And once they announced the new date, I said, that's it. That's the show. So,
it's interesting, Ron, because we were friends, and we would talk all the time. He actually had another coach, and when he said, all right, I'm going to shut it down, and he was thinking about, doing something next year, that's kind of where he made this. He's like, you know what, let's just make this. I want to start working with you. We're friends. We talk all the time. Let's plan one. But he was so lean already, I think, from all the cancellations, from all the shows. As soon as I said, listen, let's let's do a show, a qualifier for 2021. But as soon as he started dieting, like, the body fat just came off so quick. So then it organically, I was like, because he has a show in Vegas, so we were planning on maybe competing after that, after the stress of the show, so we can get it, the show done first. But he was getting in shape so fast that we were just like, let's do this. Let's jump in Chicago.
When was that show that you put on, Austin?
It's the first weekend of November, so November 7th.
Okay, so you'll be done with all this by then.
I'm doing, I think it was Romania Pro, which is November 14th or the 21st. One of those days.
He was going to compete after this, right? He was going to compete after his show, but he was getting so lean that we made a decision a few weeks back. We were like, let's just do it.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I have a feeling you're going to be very, very happy that you both made that decision, because, win, lose, or draw. I honestly believe you're going to make a big statement at this show, because the 212 division, we were kind of concerned about it there for a while, but now George jumped in, Keon jumped in, and with you in there, up to the glory days, if you will, when it was like Flex Lewis, Jose Raymond, Dave Henry, even Kevin English. It was Eduardo. That division was like stacked. There was a time when I think 212 was actually more exciting than the Open for a couple of years there, or at least as exciting. And it seems like we're heading that way again.
I think a lot of these classic guys, they could be in 212, and they're so sucked down that they don't maximize their potential. They could do 212. So a lot of them got this too, so
in shape.
Yeah.
Like guys like George, Keon, other guys that were good classic guys, are making that switch, and you're going to see more.
Yeah.
And they have shape. So now all of a sudden, getting injected with like these guys with this incredible shape, like it's interesting because you're going to see guys like George, who's the last 5'8", 212 champion. There was none.
Man, the
None.
closest
Yeah.
Doug. I don't even know if Doug Dale's 5'8". I want to say he's more like 5'7". But he never, he wasn't winning. He didn't win any big shows. He was very good.
5'8", George brings shape. So,
yeah.
and he's top of the weight class.
Right.
And the same thing with Austin. He's taller, but they have shape. So it's next to a shorter, blockier guy, all things being equal, bodybuilding is still about shape,
Right.
and I think that you're going to see, I know you're going to see more of that this year in the 212, especially see how Olympia plays out, who's there at the end or whatever. But the top 5 is going to look,
Crazy.
really good. Yeah.
Yeah. It's nothing against shorter people. None of us here are very tall. So I'm not knocking short people, but you don't often see a pretty shape on a shorter guy. Just structurally, they're just so compact. The limbs are shorter, the torso is shorter, and you're stacking 212 pounds on a frame that's not very big. It's freaky, absolutely, but
Right.
I'm a shape. I like to see better shape too, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you're in the division for now, Austin. I know it's not going to last long. We'll appreciate you while you are at 212 for however long that is. Man.
I appreciate, the 212 guys. They're just as good as the open guys, to be honest. I actually like watching 212 more than the open a lot because the condition and just the muscle quality I see. The conditioning I think is really good in the 212 right now.
Oh yeah. Anything where you have to make a weight, classic 212, the condition tends to be very good all across the board. In the open, it's kind of hit or miss. You'll have some guys up there who really should have come down 10 or 15 pounds. I mean, they want to be big and full.
Because you got to, what's more important, size or condition? And it's like it's an interesting balance because you want to be conditioned, but you also don't want to get outsized next to some mass monster standing next to you. Whereas 212, like you said, a lot of guys have, unless you're Sean Clarita and you're 170 because you're 5'2", it's different. But the guys that are taller, they have to make that 212, so it forces the condition. Yeah.
Yeah. Like Austin, what did you weigh a month ago? 4 weeks out.
What did I weigh?
230.
Okay, so there you go. I mean, this was not for you to get down from that, and I bet at 230 you were pretty damn hard. You weren't that far off condition wise, right?
Full and hard. I mean, it was just not straight to glue. Open look bodybuilder.
This is his weight class. Like, in other words, for him to be bone ripped on stage, he can't be 230 right now. He has to be a 212.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's gonna stay here very long. And look, it's like you look at someone's structure, you can tell, is it a good idea to add, like he could add 20 pounds of muscle and it's only gonna make him better. His shape, he's wide, he's got those crazy wheels. So he'll be an open, especially because he's a novice. He's only done 5 shows, and even though he's 37, it's almost like he's 27 because he's so new to it.
Yeah.
So he's gonna add tissue quickly, and he gets big in the off season,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, this for right now it makes sense because it forces him to get ripped.
Right. Yeah, it's true. You check him up every day. You better be low. Your weight better be lower.
Yeah, I mean, is it going to be a struggle to make 212, or are you still trying to drop down?
Now he's already there.
Oh, okay.
He's 214 this morning, so he's right there.
Oh, right on. Now, that's not one of those Regan Grimes New York Pro situations a couple of years ago.
He's not going to be more than 212 on stage. He has to be 210, 212 to be bone ripped. Right. So
cool. Yeah. So Austin, you must be looking forward to this because this is how would you rate the way you look now versus the way you looked at Tampa a little over a year ago?
It's a different body, Ron. It's really like I think I matured as a bodybuilder, man. Like I grew into the size of this. And you know what? To be honest with you, the whole time from Tampa to this show, I literally destroyed myself. I've been doing everything I could to put on size because my mindset was to go to open. And before I met Justin, he said, "You know what? Just stay with 212 for this show. Let's see what you look like." But I was preparing for open, so it was a nonstop. Every day I got to get better. I got to get better. But if you compare the two, it'd be like, honestly, I'm sorry, but it's like an NPC versus almost a.
Yeah, he's
I really do. I mean,
different guy.
Yeah.
just,
Well,
I,
that-
think
No one knows what's coming.
I think my upper is just outgrown my lower a lot, and I
Oh,
was
yeah.
doing it. Yeah.
He
Because-
was front double bicep on Instagram and everything, but people they're not expecting what's going to show up Friday.
Well, they are now because we're going to put this out, but still, a lot of people won't see this, unfortunately. I wish everybody would watch this, but yeah, I know people, you're going to walk out there and a lot of people are like, who the hell is that guy, number whatever. So, yeah, I like that. I always like shows where surprises happen, where somebody like, well, I won't say Hottie last year. We knew Hottie was going to be great and everything, but it was like, wow. I'm always
Sure.
waiting for that person that I haven't really noticed before to make this big jump. Yeah. And everyone's like, oh my God, who's that? Look at number so-and-so. And they move them in the middle and, it's the story goes on from there. But yeah, man, looking forward to this. This is going to be a good time down there. Yeah. Last chance.
I mean, I just want to say I'm truly thankful for God, and I told him, I said meeting Justin, it's like came from nowhere. Like it was like God just sent him to me, and I really do cherish our friendship first, and then him as a coach. We're friends first, and then the coaching comes second. But I talked to him about everything. Trust me. I mean, we talked on the phone for hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not the first Justin Miller client who said something very, very similar to that. So it speaks a lot about Justin as someone who doesn't work with 300 people and just you get a little text from them every couple of days and yeah, do 10 minutes more cardio or cut your carbs today or something like that. He's much more attentive and yeah, more of someone who's a friend. I don't know how you can prep somebody at that level and not get become like a friend to them anyway, because this is such an all-involving sport. It's 24/7. It's emotions, it's physical, it's everything you can imagine. I honestly think it's the most demanding sport in the world. Nothing else has so many factors involved in the way you look and the way you end up placing on stage as bodybuilding, I don't think. Yeah. All right. Well, guys, you've been very generous with your time. I know you probably got to eat or tan or something. Oh, it's only Tuesday. You don't need a tan yet. But man, looking so forward to seeing you on stage.
Yeah.
Justin, thanks for bringing this guy to my attention. I would have noticed him at the show anyway, but now I'm glad I'm really going to be on the lookout for him for sure.
Thank you very much for having us, Ron.
I appreciate it. Me too, Ron.
So I just want to remind everyone, we are doing full coverage of this show, Chicago Pro. So go to musculardevelopment.com all day and night, Friday and Saturday. We got all the divisions. We're going to have photos, videos, interviews, all the good stuff you guys want to see. Musculardevelopment.com and, of course, the Muscular Development YouTube channel, which you should be watching right now, hopefully. So that's it. Justin Miller, Austin Karr, thank you guys so much. Look forward to seeing you guys in a couple days down there.
Thank you, Ron. Look forward to seeing you, buddy.
Thank you, Ron. Appreciate it.
Everybody, thanks for watching Ronline Report. Justin Miller and Austin Karr. We'll see you next time.